Steve!
Steve!
Steve! Steve! Steve!
Steve! Steve! Steve!
I think Steve! Steve!
Alex! Steve! 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 Steve!
Steve! Steve!
Yes.
Steve! 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 Wait, that's not Steve.
Maybe not.
Steve! 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 That's not Steve. Steve! 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 But he's dead? Steve! But he can say the N-word? Steve! 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 Steve's meat. Steve! 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 And I got Steve! 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 Oh wait, that's not Steve. Steve!
Awesome.
Steve! 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 Steve!
Steve.
Steve!
First
Steve! 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 Steve!
God.
Steve! 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 Bad stage. Steve! 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 Steve!
Oh.
Steve! Steve! My Steve! Steve is not good. Steve! 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 Big Steve! 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 And then like by the end he was like, Steve! 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 Oh. Steve! Steve! They didn't fix Steve! 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 Steve!
Slash.
Steve!
Golf scrap.
Steve! Steve!
Alright, what are we saying?